Does that count good, Luis? Does that count good?
I just wait till when I see you guys clapping on my screen.
Okay, that makes sense. That checks out. Look, we're on another episode of Salient Points, number 103. The highly anticipated. We've been off for a couple weeks now. We couldn't make it work last time. We apologize for that. Well, I apologize for that. Dalen's just dealing with the case of it. It's Tuesday, Dalan. I was gonna say case of the Mondays, but it's most definitely Tuesday, sir. But
I don't know what day it is. I didn't see the sun for 4 days. Okay.
Okay. Salient Points 101 for March 8th, 2023. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what, Dalan?
Master of Manwater.
Okay, Master of Manwater. Sure, I'll take that one. So it's good seeing all you good folks again. Dalan Kirkwood from What Up in the Mountains, and you did talk about it, Dalan, but you've been dealing with a bunch of snow up in the mountaintop, right? Like, maybe you could throw some pictures on your Twitter or something like that.
I don't need to throw pictures on my Twitter. These are national news articles. There's videos of this fully documented, my guy. We are in a national state of emergency. People are still trapped in their homes. I just barely dug myself out like 2 days ago.
Hey, I do like it. So Dalan was sending out pictures to us. It was like that's my car right there under all that snow. I'm like, when you gonna dig it out? He's like, I will not be dug out. I will not be digging my 2 vehicles out. But everything's good, Dalan. You're doing all right. You surviving? You're not in the national newspaper anymore.
No, we're still on national news. They're still talking about Crestline. There was a thing earlier today about a person who passed in their home and another person who died in the car crash because of the snow.
Okay.
So it's still really bad up here, but they finally opened the highways so I could get down the mountain.
And I hope they finally open up the good ones so you could get your orange strawberry shakes or whatever it is you get.
No, my guy, that roof collapsed in. That is not going to open anytime soon. Construction is back. Construction is underway, but they are not opening.
Okay, so good wins. The roof collapsed. People have passed, and they just stay safe. All right, everyone, please to stay safe out there. As we know that Deo Blas, he's just came back from Japan, so it looks like you're nice and ready and refreshed. Deo, you got a fresh cut, like Luis mentioned, off wax. So you're doing all right, man. How was your trip?
Oh, it's fantastic. I lived my teenage dreams over there, and oh my god, I just want to be there right now. To be honest, I don't even want to be on the podcast. I'm not gonna lie.
Is that why you're pounding? Is that why you're pounding the Trulies today? It's like, damn, I wish I could be in Japan right now.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right.
Were you able to hold? Were you able to hold any local conversations?
Squishy, a little bit, tiny bit.
That's all you need to do.
Like the longest conversation I had was with I had to buy tickets for the train, and because it was last minute, and I had to explain like, can I refund a ticket and buy a new ticket? That's the only goal of that conversation. But it took so much effort and time to Google Translate, and he had a translator too, and it was like, oh my god.
You felt like you ran out of all the Japanese you had, like all the they ran out of their English and you ran out of your Japanese. Like it's so much. It's so much.
I've reached peak bounce of my conversation.
Dude, I do interpreting as a living, and that's what people always say. They're like, I ran out of my English, I ran out of my Spanish. This is it. I've reached capacity. This is all I got. And Deo Blas, so thank you for joining us, sir. I know you're a little bit.
And just a little note before we go on. I do have gifts for each one of you guys.
Ooh.
So
Holy snap!
I'm gonna pack it into one thing and send it to whoever wants it in their address, and then you could distribute.
Okay, sure. It sounds great. Sounds
Dude,
like we'll figure that out.
I hope you brought me back some of that Japanese KFC. It is a luxury.
Japanese
it's a luxury
KFC.
there. It is a sit-down dining experience there. It's nuts, man.
There you
People
go.
line up for KFC.
Hey, I think KFC is special everywhere, but I think especially because don't they eat it for Christmas? From what I understand,
it is
there's a Christmas delicacy.
Yep.
All right, well, hey, I hope you enjoy some Kento while you were out there. Luis Mendez, we promise you this man was not dead, and here he is. And as we live and breathe, we see this man in the flesh. Thank you for joining us, Luis.
Alive on the internet.
On the interwebs, yeah, because people were definitely I don't know, us, basically us on what, put up the news, put up the newspaper, put up the date today because we need to know you're still alive. But hey, look, that's enough pleasantries. We've been gone for long enough. Let's get right into it. One of the big things today, or in this last week, was that there might be a Meta Quest VR Game Pass. It might be dubbed "quote unquote" Quest Pass, so very clever of them if it does come to fruition, and that's what they call it. There's a guy, Shiny Quagsire. This is via VGC, sort of like a has dug up some things on the iOS and the Android app and all kinds of stuff, and they said, quote, get up to 2 new apps or games every month with Project Apollo. A description of the service reportedly reads, log in each month to redeem your apps and grow your library with the most exciting VR titles. So I think it kind of makes sense, man. I just did I got the PlayStation VR 2, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I'll even show it to you guys a little bit if you'd like. But I think that's kind of what makes the most sense, man. I know I had my buddy Jeremy come over and to try it out, and I was like, what do I showcase this thing? Like, what do I show him? And I was like, I have nothing. I just have the new Horizon game. And yes, that's great, and it's supposed to be kind of like a great title and all that stuff, right? Like state of the art. But it's like, I wish I had more stuff, and everything on the PlayStation Store was like $25-$30. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do all that. So a Quest Pass, I think, would just make sense. A version of the Game Pass, of course, the Xbox Game Pass. So I think, I don't know, this is rumors and speculation, but it's potential. Luis, as I feel like you're maybe the resident second PSVR enthusiast on the podcast, what do you think of a sort of Game Pass but for VR games?
I wouldn't say PSVR.
VR in
Let's
general.
Just say VR, I guess. I haven't used my Quest in more than a year at this point.
Collecting dust.
I did use it sooner than I did my Switch, though. So there's one.
Okay, there's one thing.
But
with your boycott,
I think that's probably the only thing that would make me want to go back and use it. It's just that small level of friction of actually putting on the headset and like clearing space that gets me to like, I'll just play something else. So that would be the only thing that would possibly make me consider, maybe I'll see what they put up the first month or something and check it out.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense, man. I mean, like I said, it's just kind of like one of those things where VR, a lot of it is just like, let me just try something real quick. And the fact that if you can have a subscription for it is like, yeah, I'll download it. I'll check it out right now. But me, I have the one game for PSVR 2, man. And it wasn't like PSVR 1 when it was like kind of brand spanking new. It was like, sure, Battlezone VR? Yeah, I'll grab this. Sure, it doesn't matter. I'll get
Rigs, whatever that game was.
Yeah, Orgs, or what was it, Mags or Rigs? Rigs, yes. Rigs, exactly. I was like, sure, I'll pay $10-$15 for this. But now it's kind of like, I know what VR is. I know what VR is. Like, I think it would make sense for more of a pass thing. Dalan, what do you think, man? What do you think if there's going to be a MetaQuest VR pass?
Well, my first question is for this MetaQuest VR pass, the Project Apollo, is it something that you actually have to pay for separately? From the PlayStation?
Well, it's a whole different thing. Meta is the Facebook company, and they make these wireless headphones. Let me tell you about video games, Dalan. Let me tell you about what's been going on in video games for the last decade. Yeah, of course, man. Of course, not related to Game Pass.
Well, the main reason I ask is because if it was, then I wouldn't have to pay for anything extra, and I would just keep picking up games until I got a PSVR. But at the same time, I feel like it's still going to hurt some of the sales, obviously the sales for the games, because it's now a brand new system with the PSVR 2, and like you said, we ain't got nothing for the PSVR 2, and you're just giving away games?
Well, no, this is MetaQuest, Dalan. The PSVR 2 is definitely not talking about giving away any games or on PlayStation Plus or anything like that. This is more on, if it wasn't clear, it's for MetaQuest, the Facebook.
I misunderstood it. Like, I was looking at it, I thought they were the same thing for some reason. I don't know why. It's not PSVR 2, it's MetaQuest and their VR game pass.
Yeah, this is the one that, remember, they raised the price. They were like, you know what? You guys love it so much. Let's raise it by $100. And that's actually the next. Go ahead, Dalan. What else?
This is the one where they were going into the VR realm to try and meet up with people, and people immediately got groped. Right?
That's part of it. I don't know if that's a full story. I will neither confirm nor deny that's the full story, Dalan, because I'm not really sure that that's what the story was. But yeah, something like that. Something like Facebook, when Facebook was like, let's have meetings. People can meet in the VR world, and of course the sucker man was of course being weird about it, right? But this is the same machine, Dan, that they actually raised the price $100. Like, you guys love it so much that instead of $300, have it for $400. But now they're actually retracing their steps a little bit. Not for the original, the cheapest one you can can get. That one's still $399. The Meta Quest 2 for 128 gigabytes, and then but they did lower the price of the 256 gigabyte one, $70 off. That's $430. But the biggest, I guess, drop is the Meta Quest Pro. It was $1,500, and they dropped it by $500 to $1,000.
Yeah, but what the hell is the difference between these things that says, "Hey, I want to pay an extra $500 for the next step up"?
One uses your computer, one doesn't.
There you go, Dalan.
But an extra $500 to just not be.
Do you not want to be a pro, Dalan? Do you not want to be a Meta Quest Pro? Is my question right now.
Not for 1 to 1.5K, man. I'll just be my lowly self in the corner. I'll be a scrub.
Well, that's what a lot of people said, Dalan. I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of people said, and they're like, you know what? Let's knock off $500 off this thing. At least what's going on over here, man? I guess that's the biggest drop off, right? It's the $500 off of the Meta Quest Pro. What do you think?
This should be no surprise to anyone who had been kind of paying attention, which I don't think a lot of people do. But to Meta's sort of strategy and path going forward, they did mention this was going to happen at some point. So they're doing this price drop probably because the next one they mentioned is a few years away.
Yeah.
Or somewhere around the corner, right? So they did mention we'll drop the Quest, we'll drop the Pro. That one will be the premium one. Then we'll drop the price of that one and bring out the one that is the Quest Pro, but in basically wireless form. So it gets rid of the cable, and then that is kind of the quick rundown though of what the main difference is. One uses more power, one doesn't. There are other specs like better lenses, better refresh rates, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's all I was gonna say. Actually, was that they had recently dropped the price about a year ago. And it is sort of interesting for them to bring the price down of one that they just increased.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
they're
trying to figure out what to do. They're navigating some weird spaces right now. You know, they just had layoffs amongst other companies.
They're kind of like Nintendo dealing with Uncharted and Uncharted waters. We've sold so many Switches that we don't know what to do. We don't know what the fuck to do. Although I don't know, as far as MetaQuest, I don't know if it's the same thing, right? I think they're trying to find some sort of equilibrium, still trying to push it while they're losing billions and billions of dollars trying to push it, you know? It's kind of interesting, right? But yeah, the best one you can get is $500 off. Are you any closer to considering grabbing maybe potentially the Pro, at least?
No, I was never considering that one. I was waiting for whatever model was after that, if I were to get one.
Okay, and you know, real quick, The Verge did report that they're already working, like you're kind of alluding to, is that they're already working on a Meta Quest 3. It's going to be 2 times as powerful, 2 times as thinner, and it's going to cost slightly more than 2. So yes, as you were alluding to, Luis, they were already working on the next one. It's definitely like they're kind of lining up these different product lines, right? And it's like the 3's coming out. 3's coming out. Don't even trip. The next thing, of course, is we were going to talk about PlayStation VR 2, since that already came out a couple weeks ago. The Sony CFO, Hiroki Totoki, he did say that there's a good chance, they think there's a good chance of PSVR 2 outselling the predecessor. PSVR 1 sold over 5 million units by the end of 2019. He did say this at a Morgan Stanley fireside chat. He said, quote, "We are very happy to launch VR 2 on PS5. VR 1, we sold over 5 million units, and I think we have a good chance to exceed that amount with PlayStation VR 2. I'll throw this over to Deo. What do you think, man? What does this make you think? I know you were considering the PSVR 2, right? I don't know if you're...
I am. And after everyone's playing Gran Turismo 7, I was like, dang, it's kind of sweet, because that's like my jam right there. So I really want to get on that. Yeah. But like, I don't know. It's very hopeful, I think his number is, because like 5 million units with how much it costs right now, it's kind of like a big barrier to entry for a lot of people, because you still have to buy a PlayStation 5 as well. And right now there's no like crazy killer app for it. That's my only dig at the PlayStation VR 2 right now. If they put Half-Life 2 on that damn thing, I'm buying it the day of. Thing. But until something like that happens, and until like they have like a long support for like games and everything for the system, then maybe, I don't know. That's 5 million is kind of a lot, especially for that type of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, when they dropped, what was it, the PlayStation VR 1, I think they were already pretty healthy as far as an install base for the PlayStation 4, right? The PS5 had like stock issues and all that stuff. And you're talking about like, this is like $1,000, right? Worth of like, you got to buy the PlayStation VR 2 and the console itself. You got to find the console. Yeah. Supposedly it's easier, but still, right?
But like I didn't own a PSVR 1. Like, how long did they have like software support for it? I don't feel like it was all the way to the end of the PlayStation 4's lifespan, right?
Oh no, it was like a year and a half. Every so often they would drop in a little trinket of things, right? It was.
Hopefully the technology is good enough to like have longevity for PSVR 2. So hopefully it's good enough to like they can keep producing high quality games over a longer period of time.
Yeah, you know what? I will say this, Dale. They had a much better like launch lineup than PSVR 2 has, I think, or at least as far as the hype level is. Really? And I think part of it is the fact that it was just so exciting. It was technology that you're like bringing into the home, right? Like you're like, oh damn, it's VR. I can finally play it on this game system. It kind of reminded me of like when the PlayStation 2 launched, people didn't have DVD players. The reason that thing's the best-selling console, by the way, is the fact that people didn't have DVD players, right? And they were like, this is the DVD player. This is what we're doing now.
And it plays games at the same time.
And it also plays games. By the way, wasn't that great? I mean, when it originally launched, it was a decent DVD player, right? But at some point, there was better DVD players, right? But initially, they were so expensive that we're like, I want a DVD player. Let me buy a PS2. And I think that was kind of PSVR 1. That was kind of what it had. It kind of hit sort of maybe a sort of zeitgeist, you could say. And the fact that even then, it only sold 5 million. That means like less than 1 million units per year, because I think it might have launched in 2015 or something. So if you're talking this 5 million is not too much, man. And you're asking for a lot for this thing right here to kind of you're hoping that this thing right here is gonna sell more than 5 million copies. I got it for $600, man. This thing was quite a bit. And it's kind of
cool. Not gonna lie, it looks really cool.
It looks cool. It has just one single wire. It's got one single wire, I guess. They finally.
So Carlos, to your surprise, it was actually released in October of 2016.
Okay.
It went like 3 years for 5 million units.
There you go.
And it started off at $400 per unit.
Okay, so. I like that you say to my surprise. I'm not surprised. I mean, thank you for the update, Dalan.
You look shocked.
Don't be over here telling me for your surprise. I do like the update though. Thank you for that, Dalan. And they finally moved on from like 2009 technology to something that's kind of decent.
Oh man,
kind of decent.
No, although 2009 technology, I hate.
Although it is
tracking balls.
It is kind of weird when I was playing this thing. When I was playing this thing, it's kind of hard to remember that you gotta kind of reach in here to grab it. So as far as I'm concerned, let me put it to you guys this way. I got it. I grabbed the box. I was excited for it. I popped on Horizon or whatever it was. I played it for about an hour. Have not gone back to it. It's been like 2 weeks, man. It's been like 2 weeks.
I told you.
You know what it is?
First thing I said.
Hey, what is it? You know what it is? It's. I haven't played VR in so long. Not even the Quest VR. I haven't messed around with it in a little while. That headache is for real. Like you gotta get used to it. Even with the clicking, even when you only do whatever the degrees are, 25 degrees or whatever, even with that, it's a little tough. I gotta get used to it. I gotta play it some more.
Hey,
go ahead, Dave.
Have you attempted Beat Saber with it yet?
I have not. I don't know. I don't know if they even have a PS5 like updated version of it. I gotta tinker with it.
Probably not, but the tracking will still be better.
That's true. Hey, anything is better than that 2009 move technology. All right. Go ahead, Dave.
You work at a special place where that provides medication for that kind of motion stuff.
Dude!
Right?
That's fair.
Hey, man, are you taking drugs to play this?
Look, I will not do that. I will just kind of slowly kind of go back into it and figure it out. But look, I will say this. So, I did say this. You said it, as of course, Dalan, as you're saying now. But I think I was saying it too before. I was like, I'm going to grab because I'm an early adopter, right? So I did grab it for that. And I will say, I've kind of weaned a little bit on the excitement of of VR in general, but the homie Jeremy was very impressed. He was talking about like, oh yeah, the FOV, the controls, everything. So as far as someone that really likes VR, he was very impressed with it. He's like, how much was this? So he was impressed by it. The graphics, of course, are much nicer than they are for PSVR 1. The controls are much better when you slingshot and in Call of Duty, or not Call of Duty, Horizon Call of the Mountain. Horizon Call of the Mountain, you do have like some arrows that you kind of grab from the back, and that's all very nice and accurate. So so far it's impressive. It's impressive, but they gotta get they gotta get going on the software. I know the one I'm looking forward to. I should have wrote the name down. I don't have it down, or I'll mention it when we talk a little bit about the state of play, PlayStation state of play in a little while. But that one's kind of cool. There's a game that's coming up that where you blink, every time you blink, the game sort of changes on you. So that's kind of cool.
You jump forward in time.
Yeah, exactly. So those kind of things, I think once those come out, I think I'll be more excited. Otherwise, it's very much like rehashes of PSVR 1, right? It's like, all right, I saw it. The excitement is not as great as it was when that first launched, but it is here. You guys are more than welcome to roll through and come by and check it out. Dale, for the King of Mid Bay, you're more than welcome. But to come by and check it out. But I'll keep tinkering with it. I'll keep messing with it. I'll try to get over the headache that it was at the very beginning. So I think I just got to get used to it. At least it wasn't the Dalan's whoa, and he kind of toppled over one time when we played co-op on what was that game, Dalan?
Man, I had just come out of the hospital, and I still
that's right. There's a backstory. That's right. There's a backstory too.
But it was Farpoint. We were trying to play Farpoint.
Oh, Farpoint. Yeah.
Farpoint, and there was definitely, I was like, you could play that co-op, and me and Dalan were playing, and all I heard was like, whoa. I was like,
man, I gotta go.
He's gone. He's gone. But yeah, that's PlayStation VR 2. I gotta, I'm gonna play a little bit more. Maybe I'll mention it some more. But definitely, I haven't played it in a couple weeks since I got it. So, but there it is. We'll go into quick takes real quick. We'll start off with one that's we're finally getting some sort of numbers. They're not as concrete as we would want, but we got some numbers for Xbox Series S and X has sold 18.5 million units versus PS5's 30 million, and this is according to Ampere Analysis. Piers Harding Rolls, this is one of their estimates. They also said that Xbox's market grew 25.5% to 27.3%, and Sony dropped to 46.3% to 45%, which is not that huge of a difference, but it kind of shows you a little bit that Xbox is slightly making inroads, right? Sort of. Is that what it tells you, Deo, or what do you think of these numbers, man? They're sort of estimates, but
yeah, it's really interesting. I thought the difference was going to be much larger, but the fact that it's Xbox is a little bit over half of what PlayStation 5 has been selling right now. That's pretty good. You're right. Like, it's pretty good for Xbox. Is this a global estimate, or is this like a specific region estimate?
I feel like because Sony, when they tout the numbers, it's because they're really good, right? And I think Sony even said they crossed the 30 million. I think it might be worldwide, I would assume, and that's probably where these guys did their analysis. I would assume, right? Based on that, they're like, all right.
If that's accurate, then that's still pretty good, because I did see like one of the documents fighting for the Activision Blizz King acquisition thing is that like Xbox had a graph of each one of the territories, and it showed like how much Xbox's share in each one of the territories is compared to Japan, or compared to PlayStation. And PlayStation was always like in the 80 percentile range to 90%, or like even 96% in Japan. And so if that number is scaled properly, like 18.5 million isn't something to laugh about. I don't know if PlayStation 5 is necessarily scared of that, but
and of course it's one of those things where Microsoft is trying to make their case to the regulators. Are like, we kind of suck. Can you guys
really have
to? Can you let this go through? Because we're kind of whack. Look at us. We're struggling out here. What are we?
That's the only way. That's the only way I could see it, for them to plead sympathy or something. For the courts to approve it.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's like, look, Xbox, look, Microsoft, you remember during the 360 era, I don't know if you remember, Dale, like following that kind of stuff, they were mentioning numbers. They mentioned numbers all the time.
Proud.
They were like, ooh, we just sold 5 million this last quarter. Right. We just sold this much.
But PlayStation did the same thing, too. They weren't even revealing their numbers until like they passed a certain point. I think it was like the 4th year of the PlayStation 3's lifespan, and they were gaining ground really fast. And that's the only time they revealed numbers. So it's not like they're... one side does it and the other side doesn't.
Oh yeah, it's complete role reversal, man. Complete role reversal. When like Sony was like with the PS3 struggling, they didn't say anything, but meanwhile 360 was like, here we go. We'll go to another thing that's a little questionable. This one's for Dan to keep him away, because he's having the case of the Tuesday/Mondays. But there's a Resident Evil 4 Collector's Edition pre-orders. If you pre-ordered in store at GameStop, they're saying, we're not fulfilling those. Warrior64 says, quote, if you pre-ordered Resident Evil 4 Collector's Edition in-store at GameStop. They just issued a memo stating that the Collector's Edition won't arrive in stores and will not be fulfilled arriving. Does not mention anything about online orders, so I assume online orders are not affected. Real quick, I was trying to get my Metroid Prime Remastered. You know how Nintendo kind of shadow dropped that on us? I went into one of these stores. These GameStop stores, put my $5 pre-ordered, and no, we got you, man. We'll got you next week. It kept getting delayed, and I know, look, I'm no one to defend GameStop, all right? I will never try to defend these guys, right? But I was like, all right, Nintendo shadow dropped it. I've seen this before. Sega did this with the Sega Saturn. I understand that there can be complications. But I was a little concerned that I would never get my game. I was like, literally, like, I need to go buy it from somewhere else and just forget about this Metroid Prime Remastered. I finally did get it.
You're telling me I was halfway across the earth and they did that, and it was like 3 p.m. in Tokyo, and I was like, oh my god, I need to find it and pre-order it, and it was sold out everywhere. Like Wario64 and Cheap Ass Gamer, they posted it, and I was like, it's so completely sold out. I was like, son of a bitch, I need to go find like a retailer here in Japan and try to find a physical copy of it. And like I didn't have any luck until like yesterday. So
like, see, there you go. And they keep updating. Wario 64 keeps updating. Target has them. Walmart has them. So I think they're trickling out, man. It was definitely a shadow drop, even though Jeff Grubb says
that's such a Nintendo thing to do, though.
Dude, and they've had it ready for about a year, from what I understood. About a year and a half. They'll just shelve a game. I like Nintendo's like, let's put this on the shelf whenever it wants to come out. Meanwhile, everyone is like, we need 2 more weeks. We need 2 more weeks to get this game out. And Nintendo has one ready to go that they just shelve it for about a year and a half. Anyways, I know you've been champing at the bit here.
I'm just like, you remember we're talking about Resident Evil, right?
No, my bad, Dalan. I just have to quickly. You're right. Look, Dalan.
It was really bothering you that this occurred in your life.
Hey, Dalan.
Do that once per pod.
Yeah, it was per pod. A little diversion.
Hey, man, it's your podcast. I'm not going to stop.
No.
You can rant all you want.
Dalan.
Don't take up on my time.
Dalan. Okay, Dalan, don't take up my time. Dalan talking about, let's push the podcast to midnight. Can we record at midnight, please? And then doesn't show up till midnight 15 minutes, all right? So, Dalan, look, you know I don't say this often. But you're right, man. We were talking about Resident Evil, all right? I don't say that too often. Dalan, what do you think, real quick, about GameStop time about, like, get out of our face, we will not fulfill that order?
Hey, man, they're wilding out. Like, we're still up in the air on whether or not GameStop's even going to go under at some point. So
a question mark. Yes, that's still a question.
So I'm like, why are we still pre-ordering games? I mean, didn't we learn our lesson from, what was it, Cyberpunk 2077? Just go buy it when it comes out, because you don't know where it's going to be at the time.
Now, this one is the collector's edition, though, Dan. Even though, look, we see collector's editions on the shelves all the time going for discounts. So, like, how collector-y was it, really? But, you know, if you really want to, you should be able to go in, right? You should be able to.
No, I kind of want the collector's edition because I'm sure it still has the nice little laminated photo or whatever the heck that comes with the steel case. Because for Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5, and I think Resident Evil 6 as well, when you pre-ordered those games, no, not 4. They did do it for 4 because I got a thing.
Okay, Dalan.
But anyways, you get your collector's edition. It comes with a nice little photo. You get a used one. You're not gonna have that photo. You know who everybody.
You know somebody grabbed it. Definitely. All the codes, all the everythings are gone. Dale, what do you think, man? Don't go to GameStop for this.
Oh, I definitely pre-ordered this thing, so sorry. But I put yes, I wanted to talk about this because I didn't know this was a thing, and then I double checked my order at GameStop to make sure it's still there.
He's like,
and we're okay. We're okay,
man.
So that's all I had to say.
Well, and for the online orders, right? So it's specifically for in-store, but even then, dude, it's horrible. You went into the store that you try to avoid so much, and like, I'm going in to pick this up. Next up in here, there's apparently a bug in the latest Pokemon Scarlet and Violet update is deleting saves. The top of the title of Kotaku's article says, PSA, do not connect your copy of Scarlet or Violet with other games right now. So, I've been wondering and thinking about maybe playing this game, but I've heard it's been having technical issues, and now it's deleting your saves.
No, it's not Arceus, Carlos. This isn't Arceus.
Well, not Arceus. No. It's Scarlet and Violet. I've been considering.
Violet were worse.
Yeah.
Arceus.
No, Arceus was okay. Yeah, Arceus was okay, but no, Scarlet and Violet was. There's a lot of issues going on. Luis says our Pokemon Resident Evil Pokemon fan. What do you think, man? Have you even played it, by the way, or no? You've had.
No.
Okay.
This is one I just did. I've picked up every single Pokemon game pretty much since the beginning of time, and this was one where I was just like, nah, I'm good. Just seeing all the Twitter clips of people spinning out of control, their arms breaking, falling through the map, not being able to climb up walls, shooting like crazy off of surfaces. I was like, I think I'm all right. I'll wait until they fix it. So it's like, does this come as any surprise to anybody that the buggiest Nintendo game of all time is now deleting your saves after they updated it so you could connect your Pokemon Sleep game? That's what's going.
That's what's been going on right now, right?
Any other games?
That's how they're finding out the Sleepy Pokemon app is like fucking everything up. Dalan, what do you have to say about this real quick before we go to the next thing here?
Hey man, it's Pokemon. There's nothing left to say. It's Pokemon.
They've been stable though. I feel like these games have been stable mainly because they've been the same fucking game for like 20, 30 years or whatever. It's how long.
They very much started to decline in caring whether or not they put out a good product at this point.
Damn,
they're like, as long as we slap Pokemon on it, people will buy it. We're wondering if more people will buy it as long as Pikachu is on it. But I believe that they're starting to like put feelers out to see if they could sell copies of Pokemon without Pikachu being the main mascot. So I'm like,
all this makes me think of Dalan is that when they're developing this game, they're like, we're gonna run it on old Switch hardware. All the machines are kind of lighting up on fire. It's like, it's fine, man. It's fine. Compile. Let's get this shit out the door, man.
What do you mean you made this on a GameCube engine? You know what? Launch it anyway.
We're good. Whatever, man. Whatever. The next thing that might be having a rough time when it comes out, I'm a little surprised it's still coming out, but they gotta sell some more. Hogwarts Legacy on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One drops May 5th, 2023. So it gets another like little slight delay. Luis, what do you think about this, man?
Playing the game on PS5, I can totally understand why. Like it doesn't necessarily have any performance issues, but it does have a lot of like graphical. One of the main graphical bugs it has is if you kind of turn too fast, sometimes you'll see flashes of white where like a mesh should be, and then it instantaneously pops in. So I'm assuming they're dealing with that to a higher level on those older systems, and they're kind of just trying to speed up and optimize it a lot more. But
so you're saying that's why they delayed it a little bit more to kind of try to get it a little more friendly for older systems.
I think so.
Okay, Dalan, go ahead. You said no on the rundown, but
yeah,
that's fine.
I know I said no,
Go
but
ahead,
just based
Dalan.
on Luis's comment, I do actually recall there are actually YouTube videos dedicated to Hogwarts Legacy fails of how people are like trying to walk into a building and they'll see people just fly off the screen or fall through the floor. It was happening for Hogwarts Legacy as well.
Well, now they get to see it in real in real living color. All right, but look,
it's breaking like Assassin's Creed. That's what's happening.
But I noticed that. But I noticed there's no like Switch situations. Like there's no update on the Switch one. I don't know if you guys saw that little GIF or that picture, that meme that was going around where there was like, this is how it runs on PS5, then on Xbox One, PS4, and then on the Switch, and they just did like picture art or MS Paint pictures or whatever of how it'll run on the Switch. And like, it's happening. It's happening. Dale, what do you think, man? This fact that they're delaying it on old consoles here.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think they're gonna make. I mean, they may have not to allude to the next talking point, but they're gonna sell a ton of it because the install base for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is still really big. So they're gonna make even more bank this time around.
Yeah, and you know. Oh, go ahead, Dale. Go ahead.
No, and regarding the Switch situation, I did see like someone pulled old school Harry Potter like PlayStation 2 games off and screenshots, and they posted that's what the Switch is gonna look like, and I was dying, dude.
They were looking rough, man. Hey, but that's what we had, dude. When I think I was playing GoldenEye the other day, and my daughter was watching me play. I was like, "What is this? Why are you playing this?" I was like, "Hey, look, this is what we had. This is what we had. This is what we had." I'm not trying to say it's good. Like Luis has been saying for months on Wax, it's gonna be trashy, or it's not gonna be as good as you remember it. It's not. It's really it's rough, man. I don't know if I want to go back and play it. I probably will for the achievements. But anyways, going back to Hogwarts Legacy here is, like I was alluding to, like I did reference, is that Hogwarts Legacy sells a lot of copies. It sold 12 million copies in 2 weeks. It's supposed to be the best-selling WB game to date. They obviously see it as a quote-unquote long-term franchise, so I'm sure we're going to see sequels. You're going to get your Quidditch. You're going to get all this other stuff that was supposed to probably be in there, right?
DLC,
it just kind of
a lot of DLC.
All the DLC and stuff, so I'm sure we'll get that. And of course, like you were just saying, Dale, the fact that it's just such a big install base, Xbox One and PS4, dude, it's like, let's sell a couple more million copies. Of course we want to do that. Do you have anything else on that, Dale? The fact that they've 12 million copies, you know, and even considering the controversy, considering all the stuff that was going on around it.
Like, I knew it was still going to sell very well. I just didn't think it was going to sell this well in 2 weeks. Even like I had my doubts were like, it's very like the Portkey Games developer or whatever, like, or the developer that actually did the game, like they have never done something of this scope. Yeah, right. They've never done something this large before, and I was just like, wow, if they pulled it off and people are super satisfied with it now, word of mouth travels, and it shows right now through the numbers.
Well, pulled it off or not, but I mean, I think it just goes to show just how huge this franchise is. I mean, it's the fact that at Universal they were like, we're gonna make a whole land about this thing, right? It just kind of gives you a big old sense of it gives you a sense of like just how huge it is, and the fact that in 2 weeks they were able to pull it off despite the you know, what did J.K. Rowling say? What didn't she say? All this other stuff, right? And the media doing a big part of like, oh, this game it's so whack. It has a rotten core and blah blah blah. It's like, people don't care. That's how much people don't care, and they don't follow like controversies that much. Dalan, you're over here shaking your head, smiling a little bit. What do you think, man? We'll go to you next.
Well, I was just listening to you guys and your banter, but the thing that
is that what we are to you, Dalan? Just a bunch of guys and our banter.
We're talking heads.
Yes, that's what this is. That's what true. This whole podcast is. But
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Peeking. How's it feel, Dalan?
I don't know, man. But it came to mind of Luis talking about the actual game itself, because we talked about how the gameplay was, and apparently that's great, but the story kind of fell flat, so I was a little sad on that part. So I'm a little surprised that it sold as well as it did so quickly, but at the same time, it's one of those Pokemon situations. You just got Harry Potter attached to it. Everybody's gonna freaking buy it.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna get so much Harry Potter in the next like couple years. I'm sure they'll even bring in Mr. Harry Potter himself at some point.
Hey, my biggest problem with the game is not the game itself, but the company that made it. WB Games is a trash video game making company.
Okay, Dalan, okay, calling strays out here. I know they're just publishing, they're catching strays over here. Okay,
Rocksteady made Batman Arkham Asylum. Then they turned around and said, "Hey, we're WB Games. We're gonna make our own Batman game," and made Batman Origins. Nearly killed the franchise with their damn.
Dalan, we're talking about Harry Potter, man. We're talking about Hogwarts Legacy, all right?
Yes, and I'm doing the small.
We're talking about Resident Evil, actually.
I'm doing the sub-segment of WB Games, okay?
Right. I'll give you another chance, and we got a little bit more to say on that. I don't know if you say yay or nay. If you say nay on that further story we got down the line, then I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, Dalan. But look, 12 million copies, don't be surprised. We're going to see plenty more. Luis, what do you think, man, before we move on to the next thing here?
Well, I think a lot of it just stems for them having that big of a reach. Like, there's people that I know that don't even play video games, but they're like, I'm picking this one up. Like, they're playing games they're playing this game is what it is, and they don't play video games. So yeah, you know, that has a lot to do with it for sure. Harry Potter, man, it's strong.
Yeah, we're gonna see plenty more of it. Another quick one here: the Nintendo Switch successor could face backwards compatibility challenge. That's according to VGC. They spoke to, I think they spoke to a developer, someone that's kind of been digging around to see kind of what's next for the next Nintendo Switch. And of course, the Nintendo Switch now uses the NVIDIA Tegra X1 chip. It's basically what the NVIDIA Shield Android TVs from 2015-2018 had, but Nintendo could potentially move away from it for the next Switch. one of the things that the developer was saying is that it could be remedied with an emulation a la Xbox Series X, or kind of throwing in a chip into the, like, you know how the Wii had basically the GameCube chipset thrown in there, which is why we joked that the Wii was basically two GameCubes stuck together, duct taped together, is because it did actually have a chipset from the GameCube. But Luis, being our inside source here, what do you got for us, man? What do you got for us? Or you know what? We won't get you in trouble. Just say whatever you can say or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about NVIDIA.
Okay.
What I will talk about is Nintendo. That this is a very interesting timing. Now that they're starting to build up their catalog digitally with their Nintendo Online service, so they probably don't really care all that much.
Yeah.
That they won't be able to backwards compatible most, if not all, titles, because they'll just wrap them into the Nintendo Online service.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's kind of what it is, right? And we're even seeing it now where they're kind of killing off, like, what was it, Mario Kart and all these other games that were on the Wii. Is like for quote unquote security purposes. Like, yeah, you know, you're gonna sell it right back to us. You're trying to get us away from these things that we already had, right? Like the Virtual Console and all these other things. Where like, just get the expansion pack. Just grab the expansion pack. By the way, me and Dalan are this close to grabbing that expansion pack. Just
I was gonna do it, but then the snow hit me, so I had to.
You have to hunker down.
I had to divert my money. But after the snow situation, I'm definitely going to be doing it. I might be doing it my next paycheck.
Dalan, Dalan, it's your fault, all right, Dalan, that Nintendo's like, it's okay, we're going to get away with it. Dalan up in the mountains will pay for this online service, and we'll just tinker out the Metroid Primes here and there. We'll just sprinkle it here and there.
Hey, you just got to think to yourself, am I really going to play these damn games? And if the answer is maybe, don't fucking do it.
It's very fair. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? I think, Luis, I don't know if you know on the hardware side, and I know I don't get into no details you shouldn't get into or anything. Not that you would know or wouldn't know. Is it you could fit another chip in there, right? Right next to the new Switch, I would assume, right? It's like just kind of throw it in there a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know what the guts look like. I don't know.
It's like I've never opened up my Switch. I don't even know where the chip is placed.
He says he's played VR before the Switch. Even he don't even know where the Switch is right now. But yeah, we'll see what they do.
Is VR. That's what it is.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. I mean, Nintendo has been friendly to this before, where they're just kind of throwing the chip in there. But like Luis was saying, it's like, dude, as long as you guys keep buying these expansion packs, you're gonna keep getting this situation sorted out. I will say real quick, because it's sort of related, but the Metroid Fusion is coming to the Switch Online expansion pack March 9th. Deo, real quick, I saw you on Twitter, man, talking about it. You're gonna hit it up, hit that Metroid Fusion?
Yes, I definitely. That's my favorite 2D Metroid now. I think it's better than Super Metroid because just I like how the game flows. I like how the aiming works. I don't know. I loved it.
It's a little smoky, man, but I did just recently play through all the 2D games trying to get to Dread, and it's nice. It's really nice. Just the fact that you can even grab a fucking ledge is nice. Yes. It's pretty good that you can get that ledge. That's an ability. Situation. Nice. That's a little ability.
I'm sorry. I know I said no to this, but you cracked me up with that with the thing of the ledge. I remember doing that for Super Mario when you were first able to start grabbing ledges on Mario 64. Then I went back and tried to play another Mario, couldn't grab a ledge. I was like, why am I dying all the time?
You can't grab that ledge, man. You can't grab that ledge. But Metroid Fusion is nice. Metroid Fusion of the 2D Metroids, you said. I thought you were going to be a little blasphemous and say out of all the Metroids.
Oh, no. Prime is its own thing.
Metroid Prime, man. And we'll get to that and what you've been playing, because I've been definitely getting into it. I think you've been playing Metroid Fusion as well, right, Dale? Or no?
I've been playing Samus Returns. Okay, so the second
there
one.
You go.
Yeah.
There you go. There it is. You're doing the whole thing that I did, kind of going back through a bunch of them, all of them, sort of, kind of. Okay. Kind of. There you go. We don't talk about what day.
I'll explain.
Okay, you'll explain there. All right. Next one then. Namco Bandai is announcing a new Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. The last one was 15 years ago. Dalan, as a resident Dragon Ball Z fanatic on the podcast, what do you think, man? Are you hyped about?
Why am I a fanatic? Though I did watch all the movies and the TV shows. Anyways,
are you not a fanatic then? I mean, I feel like that applies.
Fanatic is
did you watch them in the theater?
Yes, actually.
There you go. That's a fanatic. Dalan, a fanatic. You know, fan is short for fanatic, right? You understand?
Yeah, I know. But anyways, my thing for this is, it's about damn time. But at the same time, I'm like, Bandai Namco, fuck you. You don't need a Tenkaichi. Just make another Budokai. Just make Budokai 4.
Budokai.
I think Budokai, just general Budokai, was way better than Tenkaichi. I hated doing that weird view thing of flying through the sky and trying to fight. It was very irritating.
So this is you're not hyped for this then, Dalan. You're
okay. There are a lot of people that say Tenkaichi 2 was like the best Dragon Ball Z fighting game that has ever come out. And me and every other one of my friends that have played Dragon Ball Z fighting games are like, what are you smoking? Budokai 3 was the best. I went to an anime expo, saw Tenkaichi and Budokai 3 sitting right next to each other. I was like, get Tenkaichi off this counter, and I picked up a
Dalan, these are other people's properties, right? Like they put up this, like they put that up. They put a lot of effort into that. Don't be knocking over displays just left and right, man.
It was at a Bandai Namco booth too, and the guy who was running at the time, he started dying because I did that.
Oh, you did do it? I thought you were joking, man. You actually, I can't
banish this garbage off of this.
So I've got my Budokai 3 copy in my drawer in my bedroom right now.
Damn, dude, you're out of control, Dalan. That's really all I could say, man. Talk about let me knock over the display. We can't take you anywhere. Are you all right, Dalan? Okay, case of the Tuesday/Mondays. The next thing on here, City Skylines 2 is coming out day 1 on Game Pass. Dale, I put this in for Dale specifically. Help me understand, Dale. What's going on with the City Skylines 2? And of course, it's exciting day 1 on Game Pass, right? But what's the background on this thing?
City Skylines is basically Sim City for the new generation, like the 2020s generation, and it's amazing. Like SimCity is what got me into my job. Like that's what I was gonna
say. Is it? This is kind of sort of related to your job.
I'm gonna be a civil engineer. This is what's gonna happen. Like I'm gonna start doing city planning and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's part of it. So I'm like really excited. I put quite a few hours. Actually, I demoed it on PC. Because it was like a free weekend or something like that, and I was like, I don't have time for this, and then I ended up putting in like 30 hours.
I don't have time. I'm over here saving the roads in California, but I don't have time for it. But I'm gonna make time.
For that game, it'll be fun. It'll be really fun. And I hear that it might be running on Unreal Engine 5, which is very interesting for City Skylines 2, which would be a huge upgrade for the game.
All right, there's no release date for it, right? We just know day 1 it'll be there for you, Dale, ready for it to be on your TV.
Oh, hell
right?
Yeah.
Now, Dale, these games.
Quick aside.
Oh, go ahead, Luis. Go ahead.
My brother doesn't really play video games, and there's only one game he plays. It's City Skylines.
Okay,
the other game he wants to play is Hogwarts Legacy. So those are like, that's his reach right there.
The casuals, man.
City Skyline. All right, hey, Dale, now let me ask you this real quick before we move on to the next thing. From 0 to 100%, how representative are these games of your job that you do now?
How much is it related?
Yeah,
or
how much of it is like I'm doing my job right now or whatever?
From it's 0 like 60%.
Okay. So they do a decent job of kind of simulating.
Right, kind of simulating, because you want to, like, we do have actual simulators that do like traffic count simulations or like, like snowfall, rainfall, that kind of stuff. But like, I mean, it's not fun.
I know. I was gonna say, Dale, you could have used you at Dalen's Town. All right, Dalen's Town over there for the snow.
I'll go radio room in somebody for there. But like, but it's
we still need people. Bring your ass over. It's fine.
Dalan, just stay safe, man. Let Dale tell his story.
You have sandbags and some salt. You'll be fine.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. I don't want to see this emergency disaster reports. You're good. Get some bags out, some sand. So, City Skylines, no date yet, but it is on PC though, right? This is for.
The first one is also on Xbox and PlayStation also. So
okay, got you.
you can
All
try
right.
it out. If you
Hey,
want.
I'm glad you're excited for it, and thank you for the background. On the, I was like, oh, 60%. I thought you were gonna say 0%. I was like, oh, wait a minute, they
Hey,
actually got some.
engineering
Okay.
ain't that entertaining, but when you put it into a video game like City Skylines, it's pretty entertaining.
It's pretty nice, right? The next thing we have on here is Crunchyroll named Cyberpunk Edgerunners as their anime of the year. We'll go to Luis first. We haven't heard from Luis in a little bit. What do you think, Luis? Have you checked it out, by the way, yet?
I have not, but this was a reminder that I still haven't, and I heard a lot. I heard a lot of people say they.
How is it number one? Nobody's watched it.
Huh? No, that's not what I.
Come on,
I know, I'm joking.
Dylan. It'll be your turn soon enough. What were you saying, Luis?
It was Edgerunners and also Arkane are two things that my mom watched on Netflix. She didn't even realize she was watching anime, but she was like, "Hey, this was really good. You should watch it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
All right, sure. Thank you,
Your
Mom.
mom.
I didn't know they existed, Mom. Thanks for the recommendations here. But yeah, this actually is a reminder too that I gotta check it out. And Arkane, like you mentioned as well. Luis, Dalan, we'll go to Dalan. Dalan, what do you think, man? Anime of the year.
I feel like the people at Crunchyroll just didn't watch Chainsaw Man. That's what I feel.
Anime of the year, though. It was
Hey man, everybody was on Chainsaw Man. That's all I heard the entire damn year. Don't get me wrong, Edgerunners had its moment and it did great for Cyberpunk, but everybody I knew who even watched anime, at some point they were like, "Hey, have you seen Chainsaw Man though?" Like, nah. Have you seen Cyberpunk Edgerunners? Nah, but I was watching Chainsaw Man.
I do like that you added that modifier at the end. Who watches anime? Because like, then you know me, and I haven't watched no Chainsaw. I barely know it exists. All right.
Hey man, you still barely got to like season 2 of Demon Slayer.
I'm barely watching Demon Slayer. I'm catching up on that. Dale, what do you think, man? What do you think about this?
I honestly I think Dalen's right. Like Chainsaw Man was like the biggest one, and I watched season 1. That was pretty fantastic. It's not my favorite one. I would probably choose Spy Family right now. If
Spy
it
X
came to,
Family?
like, last year. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that show. It's so cheesy, but it got to me.
And that was up there
it's
too.
A good show.
I still put that over. Yeah, I still put that over Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
Cyberpunk. Yeah, I would have to agree.
You have seen Cyberpunk Edgerunners though, Dylan? That's the main question here.
Yes, I have.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that because sometimes you be throwing things out there. I
know.
I actually right. See, Luis knows that. I was like, he's gonna say no. Yeah, he made this whole case.
I made a wild accusation out of left field.
But because you do that though, because you do that.
I did this based on real information.
Okay, I like it. Hey, so that's another one to add to my list. Chainsaw Man and these other ones. But after what am I watching now? Naruto
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayers. That's what I'm watching. I gotta catch up to that. So we go.
Hold on, no, I'm not gonna let that go.
Why?
You said Naruto Shinshin.
Yeah.
You guys, people on the internet, you gotta understand.
I know what I said. I know what I said.
People on the
know what I
internet, you
said.
gotta understand. We used to talk about Inuyasha and Rurouni Kenshin. He would purposely mispronounce the names all the time.
Let me cook.
And I guarantee you, he has not watched Rurouni Kenshin. He hasn't watched Naruto, but he's over here meshing in the
Dylan, you know why? Because it garners this reaction.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you. Thank you for the reaction. Next thing we have on here is Redfall is being confirmed that it's going to be crossplay. That's by Arkane. They did a hashtag Ask Arkane community Q&A, and then on the official Twitter accounts, basically it's confirmed that I will play this on your birthday, Luis, as it comes out on your birthday, and I'm sure you're happy that you'll play it on PC. I'm assuming, or you'll do PS5. What are you thinking here?
We'll see. Maybe shooters I tend to like playing on PC, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay,
but it's just be easier to get on the. Well, who knows? Maybe Discord will be on PS5 by the time, so we'll see.
See, there we go. So crossplay. At least we know that if you grab it on PC or whatever it is you want, we'll be able to play it. Dalen, please. What's your thought?
I was just gonna ask, are we all grabbing it so we can play it?
Dude, it's on Game Pass, Dalen.
It's your birthday gift to me.
the time that we will dedicate, because it's free, Dalen. It's on quote unquote free, right, on Game Pass, and we'll dedicate the time for Luis.
Free plus $15.
There you go. The next thing, Dead by Daylight is getting a movie. It's coming from Blumhouse. Dalen, what do you think, man? You're hyped?
I'm not gonna say hyped, but I'm glad that Blumhouse is the ones that are doing it, simply because they've been the ones to really make a lot of those indie horror movies that came out extremely good. Like they made, what was it, Truth or Dare? Even though Truth or Dare was not their best one that they made, but they made what was it?
They made various indie art house horror movies. Dalan, is what you're saying?
Yeah. But yes, that's the thing, is I trust them. They are one of the few groups that I would trust with a video game to movie adaptation.
All right. Hey, look, and
see them at Horror Nights.
Huh?
Because they do a Blumhouse Horror Nights.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there we go. Dude, hey, by the way, if you guys haven't gone to those things, just buy the pass, man. I know it's like $500 or however much it is to do the fast pass, but you're standing in line to continue to stand and walk in standing. All right, into those little horror nights. So please just upgrade to the pass, even though it's $1 million. It's out of control. Next thing we have on here tomorrow, there's going to be a Capcom Spotlight at 2:30 p.m. Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, and of course Exo Primal will be shown at this thing. Dalan, are you tuning in tomorrow, which is a Thursday?
I'm going to try my best to tune in. It's going to be during my working hours. So, but Resident Evil Remake, I have decided that I am definitely going to grab that. So
I will be picking that up. I will be picking that up.
The Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Hey, Mega Man Battle Network was honestly an excellent game, and people missed out by not doing it. It's so much fun. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, you can skip out on that. Just walk away. Just walk away. But those other two games I don't really know too much about, so that's part of the reason why I'm going to watch it, just so I can see firsthand what those games really are.
All right, Luis, what do you think, man? You're tuning in?
Hey, man, look, Battle Network on the Game Boy broke my R button on my SP. That's how much I played it.
You were going.
That's how much I played it. Every time I had to hook in R, and then one time I tried to do it, and it just didn't work. So I'm hyped for this Legacy edition, whatever the hell this is. I'm checking it out.
All right, there you go. Next thing on here, this was from last week, a state of play. We weren't able to kind of talk about it, but real quick, some of the things that came out of it is that the Suicide Squad game from Rocksteady, like I had mentioned earlier, Dalan, that's going to require persistent online, even when you're playing by yourself. Legacy Killer HD, it described it as Avengers plus Crackdown, so he wasn't too hyped about it. There's going to be a Resident Evil 4 demo coming in the near future, so look forward to that. We finally got the Street Fighter 6 18 character launch lineup confirmed as Zangief, Lily, Cammy, and for me, there was a game called Humanity from Tetsuya Mizuguchi that drops in May. I gotta try out the demo. It looks a little Lemmings, but mixed with that beautiful artistry and music, and of course the game that I had kind of alluded to before Your Eyes drops March 10th for PSVR 2. Well, that's in a couple of days, man, so I might have to be checking that out. Did you guys?
One was Before Your Eyes? Which one was
Before
that?
Your Eyes is the one where you blink and you're kind of moving
back
and forth
in
time.
That's the one where you move forward through time when you blink.
Yeah. Did you guys get anything from the state of play, or no? It was very, I think the big thing was the Suicide Squad that's gonna have persistent online, right? Or it's like even in campaign you can't.
You put a little angry face here on the rundown, and it cracks me.
I was a little upset because it's like, dude, I've been kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt that Rocksteady is gonna make a decent game, and it's looking rough out there.
Rocksteady normally makes great games, and hopefully they take that away, particular thing.
It's rough. But we got a couple cool things from there, right? Like especially a new Tetsuya Mizuguchi game. I'm hyped. I'm so hyped.
That sounds awesome. Like I haven't even heard of that, and I'm like, now I'm like.
Man, it's just mainly you're a little dog running people around.
I don't dare.
No, think like Lemmings, I guess, and you're kind of on different stages and you're kind of going up and down. It looks kind of cool. There's a demo out, Dale, so maybe go ahead and try that out. And I think it's gonna be.
You'll get the same idea.
And it's gonna be compatible with the PlayStation VR, from what I understand. So that's kind of the thing I'm looking forward to. The other thing is, Mortal Kombat 2 was announced during an earnings call, and I do like Ed Boon, who is the creator of the series since the very beginning. He said, quote, "So who has heard the news about Injustice 3? Question mark, which is, it's his little joke. It's like he did not know that Mortal Kombat 12 was going to be announced during an earnings call. And he's like, okay, this is okay. Now everyone knows about Mortal Kombat 12.
Okay, so thank you for correcting it, because you were like Mortal Kombat 2. I was like, what?
Oh, 12. Okay, 12. You know what I'm saying, Dale? Hey, The Last of Us, man. The Last of Us. I was thinking The Last of Us, all right? What do you think, Dalan?
I think that for a Mortal Kombat game, I played a lot of 11, and then at some point mid game while I was playing, I was like, "Why am I playing this game? I'm just gonna return it."
Okay,
it turned into another.
By the way,
what?
By the way, that's a quick that's how I felt about a game I'll be talking about and what you've been playing, man. Exactly that sentiment. Why am I playing this anymore? Go ahead.
The definitive experience.
Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
But for Mortal Kombat,
it's a good game though.
But for Mortal Kombat, it is a matter of NetherRealm Studios. They're out there trying their best to keep their story going, keep their characters interesting, and then WB Games jumps in and they're like, "No, let's fuck it up a little bit." And I'm telling you, man.
But you're gonna grab 12 though, right, Dylan? You're gonna grab 12.
Until I get bored of it, yes.
Okay, why am I even playing this anymore?
Man. I'd rather just play the next. I will play the next King of Fighters. Give me Tekken 8. Take my money. But Mortal Kombat 12.
Why don't you say the next Street Fighter?
Yeah. What about Street Fighter?
Because for Street Fighter, you know what? You want to get into this?
But like the abbreviated version, the abbreviated version. All right, the abbreviated version.
Street Fighter's been going on for a long time, and it felt stale to me. That's what.
Okay, there you go. In Mortal Kombat 12, I'm down, dude. Especially the campaign. It's one of those like Call of Duty. How I'll just dig into the campaign, the ridiculous campaign. I don't know what's happening, but I like that someone's thrown through a wall, and then here we go fight. I love it, dude. I love the cutscene into a fight situation of that. So I'm sure I'm gonna like 12. But the story. This was kind of Ed Boon, right? Really kind of like, thank you, overlords. Thank you for announcing the game that we didn't even get a chance to market ourselves. The next thing on here, Dylan, I haven't heard too much about it, so I hope you can kind of give us a little background on this. But Sons of the Forest sells 2 million copies after 24 hours. I've seen some stuff on Twitter about how it's kind of like you're in the forest and you're surviving. Not necessarily my type of game, Dylan, but what do you think, Dylan?
So I ended up watching the trailer for it after I saw this piece of news, and I was like, okay, it's basically a survival game. They give you shotguns and other weapons, but then they go full on. What was the name of that movie where where 5 girls went spelunking in a cave? What was the name of that movie?
Oh, damn.
The Descent.
Yeah,
it goes full on. It goes full on Descent midway through that game, and you got like monsters and zombies that are out there. Immediate. It's immediate. Whatever. The fact is, it's happening. It's like at first you're like, little survival game. I think I'm good on that, but then you're like, oh shit, things are happening.
There you go. Have you been following it, Dalan? Are you gonna kind of mess with it?
I think I might mess with it. It actually looks pretty good. I'm not a fan of the open world part of it, but other than that, it looks like it may actually be.
Carlos, the wackiness factor is extreme in that game. If that were to get you interested.
No, from what I've seen, like I understand that. Look, I'm all about wackiness. I'm all about shenanigans. No, I don't want to, man. It's a survival-ish type of game, right, or something like that.
So was Last of Us, but that turned out to be a smash hit.
The Last of Us was kind of fucking incredible.
Hey, you had to scavenge for shit. Oh well, yeah.
Not to the extent of Sons of the Forest, whatever this is. I'm sure not to the same extent. But hey, I'm glad. I'm happy that they sold the. Not every game has to be for me. You know, that's good. Like Deadpool, right? Not every. Is it Deadpool or what's the? Come on, Dalan, help me out. Deathloop. There you go. Deathloop. So the next thing we have on here is EA is apparently polling fans to see if they want remakes of Dead Space 2 and 3. And apparently there's no confirmation from EA or if it would be from the same team that did the first one, which is Motive Studio, which they did a great job and we've heard firsthand from Dale, right, that they did an incredible job with Dead Space 1. I still gotta get around to that. Game of
the Year material.
Oh, okay, all right. I wanna see you bring that smoke when it comes to the Game of the Year discussions. Yeah, what do you think, Dalan? It's not really too surprising, right? I mean, come on. Of course they're gonna ask and they're gonna say yes, I'm assuming.
Well, when I heard that they were doing the poll, I kind of wanted to take the poll, but I didn't take the poll because I figured just like Resident Evil, they're just gonna be like, you know what? We're just gonna make the new games because everybody bought this game. Everybody bought this game. Why are we even doing a poll? I don't know. There's no good reason. They could have just decided to make the games.
I mean, it hasn't sold 12 million copies in 2 weeks, Dalan. I mean, that's kind of a slam dunk.
No,
right
it was just the number one game that month that sold significantly well, unexpectedly for a lot of people. But
Okay. All right. So we'll see. Well, I'm sure we will get them. It's just funny that.
Hey,
do you want it? Of course they want it. Of course people.
Yeah, of course they would. Hey, I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry, Visceral Games. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Okay, they're around. They're doing things.
No, they're not. They're not around.
In spirit.
They're not around. They got
spirit.
broken apart. They're gone.
In spirit, they've been making Call of Duty games. They've been making Call of Duty games for a while now. All right. So in spirit, they're around. Dale, I will ask you this: if you were to see a 2 or a 3, well, actually, would you want them to do an original game, or would you want them to remake 2 and 3 from what you've played of Dead Space remake?
Hey.
I want
I said Deo, I believe.
Sorry. That's on me. I'll accept that.
Dale, what do you think?
I wanted 2, but from what I hear, I never played 3. So from what I hear, everyone just forgets that 3 was even made, so they want a brand new number 3 game. So
yeah,
yes, that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. Remake 2, 3 just gives an original at that point, right? That's kind of what it is. Hey, we're gonna move into what you've been. I'm a little surprised. We've been doing pretty good, I think, based on the fact that we've caught up on 2 weeks worth of news. But we're gonna get into what you've been playing. A big one for us, for everyone, me, Dalan, and Luis. Destiny 2 Lightfall dropped last week, and it was basically Neon Neptune, as I like to describe it. It is a game. It is DLC. It is, I don't know, a little bland, man. It looks a little bland, even for Destiny. I fucking love Destiny so much, but it's like, it's a little rough as far as the world building aspect of it is concerned. But maybe you guys feel different. We'll go with Luis. Luis, what have you been thinking about Lightfall so far, man?
What do you mean, Carlos? You don't like the bland sort of 3-mile stretch before you get to anywhere that you actually need to get to in that sort of plan?
Yeah, and then you have to drop, like 500 meters. I don't know if that's a true measurement of anything. I feel like that's deep, 500 meters. You drop really far. You drop really far and then walk for 3 miles, right? But
that whole beginning area just doesn't need to exist at all.
Yeah.
And it does kind of, I don't know how it works, because this is my first time getting into like day 1 on a drop for Destiny. I don't know how it typically works if there's a new planet or whatever, but it is kind of shitty that you have to unlock the other like drop points to teleport to or land on the planet. That are like actually where you kind of want to get to, and even then they're not really where you want to get to. You still
honestly, that is actually how it has been for the longest time. Like originally, you had to go do a specific patrol for each area to unlock the drop points, but now they're just like, all right, once you get to a certain point, we're just gonna give you all the drop points. That's what they do now.
Yeah, it's kind of that's kind of how it's worked for a little while. It's just I don't know. It's anytime we've gotten any other drops, you usually get a new area, and it's just been kind of more exciting, dude. And I love neon shit, man. I love the 80s stuff. I love all these like neon-y movies or whatever.
So
and it's just kind
of bright enough for you, Carlos. It's not bright enough for you.
I don't know if it's bright. It's just not super exciting, dude. But really, the selling point is gonna be that raid. The raid ultimately, right, Dylan? As we know, that raid better be amazing. That's gonna be
it. Or their dungeon when they drop that.
But then you're not as underwhelmed. I mean, at least as far as the atmosphere of the world, right? Or
well, for me, I understand where you guys are coming from very much. So I do feel that very first drop point, how the area is so freaking big and nothing's happening there. You're just trying to get to the next section. That's all it is. It doesn't feel like it needs to be that big, but at the same time, I understand that the developers wanted to make it feel like you're moving through a whole city. But because there's so little to look at while you're moving through it, it feels very bland. Yeah. I mean, the best part about that whole first section is the Hall of Heroes. That's the best.
You could tell they spent quite a bit of time designing that and all that. Yeah, but look, that's kind of aesthetic wise. It's unfortunately I'm annoyed by the characters, and they also do the. I don't want to get political or controversial, but they do the thing where they're like, oh, they think this, they think that, where it's like it's referring to a person, right? But they're gender neutral, or I don't want to get into that, right? But it's kind of, that's always a little like, I think we can figure out a better way to go about that. But they do that, and the characters are kind of, although the story missions are decent enough, I feel. I think they're action packed enough. They introduced some nice little enemies. That little like stalker character is kind of interesting to me because it's like I fucking hate this guy so much. When it's 3 of us is good, but when it's just 1 of us, the fact that there's like, damn, I gotta hide behind this thing, I gotta do that. So mechanics wise, drops wise, activities wise, I think it's Destiny is pretty damn excellent. The fact that you get a bunch of drops and you're like, ooh, piece of candy. Let me get a couple more light levels here. I think that's just as good as ever.
And now they put those nice little green orbs everywhere, so you're just seeing everybody just Spider-Man around.
Yeah. The new, there you go. The new power. What do you think of that, Dalan? It's been a while since we've had an actual new like little subclass, right? What do you think of it?
Because before they were just adding to it after Beyond Light because they did the whole aspects and fragments thing. But the new special itself, I know how you guys feel about it because you have verbalized this to me already. But as for the fact that it's just a brand new thing and a very new way to go around actually playing these levels. It's very much about using the abilities for the special instead of just the perks of having the subclass on.
Yeah.
So most of my kills using that what is called Strand in this game, most of my kills while using Strand is me doing the melee and grenade abilities like the whole time. I'm just taking out full.
Well, I don't know what you think my thoughts on it are, Dalan, but I think it's pretty damn playful, man. That's the first thing I thought. It's very playful. It's stringy. It's like you're playing with Play-Doh, kind of. You're just smashing things together. It feels very. I kind of like it. I guess I gotta play with it some more to really like. Do I really like this? I don't know if I like it like one of those like standard established like subclasses, right, that you have or whatever, but it's very playful. I like the fact that you're like, I'm gonna throw this at you and it becomes a ball and then I throw the ball. and so it's very playful in that way. Luis, what do you think of the new power, man? And then maybe we'll touch on one more
It's making more sense to me now that I'm getting the fragments unlocked, but I still have, although it is fun to use, that like base grenade ability it has gotten me killed a few times just because sometimes when I try to like
you whip yourself right off.
That you wipe yourself right off. Sometimes when you do the grenade like R1 press on it, it doesn't blow anything up. And then sometimes you can try to like, let's say you're trying to grapple onto someone above a ledge, you can hit the ledge and then it will actually just like break the connection and you won't actually get up to that person to do the grenade ability. So it just doesn't work all the time. Not to mention you have to put yourself in harm's way when there's like a big group of people, so sometimes you can die.
Risk reward to it.
Yeah, because what you're doing, Dale, is you're grappling onto an enemy and you're pulling yourself straight towards that enemy. Meanwhile, they are still firing bullets in your face.
now that you know all these things that Luis was mentioning, I kind of alluded to it a little bit when I was talking about it, but it is playful in the way that the weapons and the things in Destiny haven't been for a while. Because I'll take you back to one, Dale, and I'll say it with this one word: is icebreaker. The fact that you can okay, 2 things actually: icebreaker and radiance. So these are 2 things, Luis, that were not exactly perfect, like how you're describing it doesn't work all the time. Radiance brought you back from the dead. Like you could like it's like my whole squad is dead. Oh, that's cool. Radiance. Let me just come back from the dead right now. And then icebreaker was one where you didn't even need to pick up special ammo. You would just like recharge it. You just sit in a corner and it would recharge the ammo. But since then, Destiny has become like, let's standardize it. I don't know what it is, like make it more balanced, I guess. Kind of what you're saying, like how this feels not balanced. That's how a lot of stuff was. It really wasn't balanced before. You could cheat a whole bunch of stuff, but maybe to me, that's why I mean by like playful, like the fun of like, oh yeah, it doesn't work all the time, maybe not even half the time, but it's just the fact that they're like, fuck it, let's just throw this in here. And I kind of hope that, you know, Destiny's kind of continues down that path a little bit. But we'll do one more thing, I guess, and then we'll kind of get to what Luis has been playing. But Dalan, what do you think? What do you want to close it up on? I'm sure we're gonna talk about Destiny in the future again, but one more thing, or you're good for now?
One more thing in regards to Destiny. I gotta say the new lost sectors that they created are actually pretty nice because they did this whole second section thing with the little mid boss, and that was actually pretty damn cool. But my biggest thing for Lightfall, aside from the fact that the campaign for me was actually pretty nice, was the after campaign gameplay. and I'm gonna say this, and I'm weirdly agreeing with Luis here. It's very confusing, man. They don't really tell you. They don't really tell you where to go. Like I'm feeling it. Yeah. You gotta look it up online. Like, all right, where am I supposed to go? I don't understand. They don't tell you shit. Where are the people in this land? I don't know what happened to the citizens.
Luis, what else, man? Before we kind of move on to the next thing here.
Yeah, no, I am really liking the ability, like I kind of said earlier. Now that I'm getting the fragments, I'm working my way to get unlock more of those. But the thing I really do like the most is the exotic weapons that came with it. I'm actually really liking using all those right now too, and trying to get the what do you call them? The when you unlock the
catalyst.
Catalyst. Yeah.
Those. So I'm working on those.
Yeah, and look, it's kind of unfortunate that it's always like a complete package that we get for Destiny, right? With these new expansions, the world is kind of incredible to explore, and we get good weapons and all these power-ups. This time it seems like they gave us everything except the world is a little bland, right, to kind of run around in. But that's why, look, the raid is coming out on Friday or Saturday, I believe, one of these. I'm sure we'll take
March
it with
13th.
it.
On the 13th.
Is it March 13th? Monday, huh? That's my birthday,
yeah.
Actually. So we'll see. But that's what's coming up, and unfortunately the planet is a little funky, but maybe they'll add to it. Maybe they'll make it a little bit better. Well, I'm sure
we are not going to be ready for the raid. I can tell you that right now. We are not.
Look, the way we are progressing, we will not be ready. Luis, let's get to kind of what you've been playing just on your own here, man. What you've been kind of getting down with.
Mm-hmm. So Hogwarts Legacy, I actually beat it last night.
Ooh.
It is a very short game if you critical path it, and
That's what I want. I
think I got 57, 60 hours into it, but a lot of that was honestly exploring and side quests. Like if you just do the main quest, you could probably finish it in less than 20 or like 15 hours. It could be pretty quick.
Reasonable.
Maybe even shorter than that, honestly. But yeah, Dale was 100% correct in his reservations with Avalanche. It has its like glimmers of AAA title, and then there's some things where you're like, oh, they didn't get to that level on this sort of particular aspect of the game.
It's like they were really focused in some areas and not focused in others.
Yeah, like I don't blame them. This is their first sort of go at it, and they did pretty good for their first go at it. Like it does have a lot of things that are the staples to a AAA title and this and that, but there are some things that just kind of fall flat. The story is like okay, it's serviceable. The combat is really where kind of the fun is, and for me it's the combat and exploring the world, just like being in this world that you've read through the books, seen in the movies. But I do think that if you're not a fan of the franchise, you won't like this game. I do not think that you will like this game.
Which is kind of like, it's interesting because I did GameFly the game. I was like, I'm gonna watch all the movies. I never seen them before, and I watched them. It took me a good while because. And I've been finding out, at least I mentioned this to you and Dalan off wax, that is like I'm watching Demon Slayer. It's like I want to watch the next episode. I want to keep watching the Harry Potter movies. It was a rough
I need a break.
I need a break. It was like okay, I'll put in another 20 minutes.
You need someone like next to you explaining like the significance of all the events and all the people.
Look, I understand them. I feel like I do. I feel like I understand.
No, Carlos is one of those people. Carlos is one of those people that'll try and catch up on a movie, and he'll watch like 45 minutes of it and be like, all right, I'm going to pause it here and I'll come back tomorrow. And it'll be like 3 days before he comes back, and he'll be like, okay, what was happening again?
Yeah, but no, I remember everything that happened. I think that one of the things that I was kind of running through my head was like, did I just miss the boat? I feel like this is definitely a children's like movies, and I just missed the boat. I'm watching them as a 35-year-old man trying to watch these things.
The first two are definitely children's movies.
Okay.
And then after that,
so is the third one. He just had a growth spurt. He can't help that.
Look, I'm gonna still give it I'm gonna try to give it a fair shake. I think. Yeah, as an adult watching people swing wands around and like this is so stupid. This is so stupid. But
get to Order of the Phoenix.
I got to all of them, Deo. I got to all of them.
You rewatch them.
There's something wrong with how you watch them. There's something wrong. But look, I'm gonna give it a fair shake, Luis. I did GameFly and I was like, I'll keep it sure. It's fine. I'm liking in the first movie enough or second movie, so I'll give it a fair shake, man. I'll give it a fair shake, and if I get critical
Carlos.
past it, we'll see.
Just go back and watch Twilight. You'll be okay.
Oh, damn. Twilight. Oh, by the way, I didn't know there was a Twilight guy in the Harry Potter movies. This is a whole bunch of people that I was like, oh, interesting. This guy's in there. And, of course, Harry Potter's in it, of course.
Oh, wait. You're talking about Robert Peterson or Robert Pattinson?
Yeah, he was in one of them, yeah. He had a big piece of the story arc. There was a big deal, the fact that he was in it for like half a movie or however long.
Hey, for me, he was one of the best characters.
I think he's made his acting better. But
the Batman better. That's the Batman better.
I got one more thing to say.
Oh, go ahead, Luis. My bad. Go
ahead. It does fall into that trope of like, this was an issue for me just because I don't play games like this. It took me a while to get used to it, but basically the whole Skyrim / Horizon does this, where like it's like the RPG dialogue between two characters, where it feels very stale.
Oh, they're switching it. They're flipping the camera back and forth.
Yeah, it's just like a stationary camera, and they go through canned animations of like the lower body of them kind of doing motions, and then the face is just very like static, and it all moves great, but there's no like expression really to animations and those.
It's like we're gonna have a whole conversation about this, and we're just gonna move back and forth, just right here.
They do a pretty good job of like they kind of cycle through animations that have inflection points, and they do a good job of inserting those in, so it's not like completely random. Yeah, they do a good job of inserting those in when they're like making a statement or pointing at something or something like that.
But they're still in that base movement.
But they do have sections where they have like in-game cutscenes that are a bar way higher than that, where you're like, why don't they just do that the whole game? Like those
now, Luis, this is gonna help me to hopefully I can like this a little bit better. You can skip line by line. You can
skip every single line.
Okay.
Yeah, but can you do it line by line?
Oh, can you do it line by? Can you do it line by line? I guess I read that.
Like, not like per like sentence, but per like what that phrase. I guess what they're saying.
Carlos is all about that.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, dude, every single, even the games I love and hold close dear to my heart, I'm like, can I skip? Dude, Okami.
I was about to say, go to Okami.
Oh man, I love Okami, man. The game was incredible. You paint in a PS2.
It's a lot of dialogue.
Dude, don't die at a boss battle. No. Go back 10 minutes and you can't skip shit. You can't skip the cutscene. You can't skip any of the lines. Don't die. Do not die in that game. You will have to replay like 10 minutes of like, let's hear everyone talk, and they talk in that weird like. Deo. Oh, Luis, is that you're good? You're good. Okay. Dale, what do you think, man? What have you been playing?
I've been playing 3 games simultaneously right now at the moment. One is I talked about it earlier, is Metroid: Samus Returns for the Nintendo 3DS. Mm-hmm. I brought my 3DS and my Switch with me to Japan, and my Switch died before I even got before the plane lifted off and went to Japan. I was like,
you forgot to charge your battery. Never forget.
Right, but I had my 3DS with me too. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna play whatever I got on this thing. And I forgot last year I loaded that sucker up with a ton of games because the eShop is closing, and so I downloaded a ton of stuff. I put my credit card in there and everything, and so Metroid: Samus Returns was one of them. And this is the remake of Metroid 2 for the old. Yeah,
Metroid 2 Return of Samus. It's on Game. Yeah, it was on Game Boy. Yes.
It's on Game Boy. Yeah, and so this one was kind of Mercury Steam's predecessor before they did Dread. So I was like, okay, before I hop onto Metroid Dread, I'm gonna play this game and get acclimated to all the new abilities and the 2D, the 2.5D graphics plane and everything like that. And it was a fairly good game. I liked it enough. On the plane, it was perfect for it because I had a 14-hour flight. I was like, that it's about the same amount of time, and I was like,
you beat it.
I literally beat it before we landed. So I started right at liftoff, and I beat it right before we landed. And I hate that game. I swear to God. So that is my least. That's my least favorite Metroid game. To be completely honest, I was like, oh my God.
You gotta be able to walk away from it too. I think it's definitely one of those games you gotta be able to walk away and come back.
Where was he gonna go?
What I'm saying is, if he's gonna force his way through beating it, he can't take a break and go away and come back. He's just like,
I can't. I'm a hostage onto an airplane. I can't really do anything else.
Yeah.
But I did have the option to play other games. I was like, I'm I'm gonna stick through this because I do want to beat this game. I've been looking forward to it for a while.
Yeah.
And it's my least favorite Metroid game only because it's pretty repetitive. Like that's the thing that I hated about it. Everything
I
else,
hope
like
you deleted
the
it.
shooting mechanic and everything. No, I'm keeping
Yeah,
it
come
on.
on, Dalan, what's going on here?
Like the 360 shooting was really cool. Like you could hang on ledges.
I was gonna say it kind of proves that 360 shooting can sort of work, right? In a Metroid game, and you need it for Dread.
For that tiny handheld, and you need it for Dread,
Yeah.
and you need like the parry system and everything like that. And those are awesome combat like additions. But like they have the normal progression of like a Metroidvania type of thing. But like going and fighting 30 bosses all in one game, and they're all kind of like the same. I'm just like, you're not Shadow of the Colossus. It's not the same kind of idea. Like it gets stale really fast.
Hey, every single one of those bosses were different. Don't you dare put that on Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, they all were fuzzy and looked alike, but they were all
and you know what it is, Dale too, is I think even the foundation of it, Metroid 2 is probably considered one of the least favorite ones on the Game Boy. So they're building off of that thing, but I think they did a great job building off of that, and it did kind of prove their case for Metroid Dread. And Metroid Dread, it's a thing of beauty, man. So I think they definitely did a great job as a foundation for what they were gonna do next. And I like that it's a Spanish studio, man. It's at the very end of, if you sit through the credits, it's like Hernandez, Gonzalez. I'm like, okay, interesting. Where are these people from? Okay, it's a Spanish studio. Yeah. So it's only, you haven't played Dread, right? This is kind of getting you to Dread. So I'm excited.
Next step is Metroid Dread, and
you're gonna feel much better about that.
Yeah,
that's what I hear.
And you know what's funny, Dale? The way I kind of did it is actually, I think I did a Metroid Zero mission, then I did Metroid Samus Returns, then I did Super Metroid, then I did Metroid
That's
Dread.
appropriate.
So it's I kind of went in sequence that way, I suppose, chronological order. What else you been kind of messing with?
So the last two, I'll mention this one really fast. F1 Manager 2022. So the new season of Formula One started, so I was getting in the groove, and I was like, I'm gonna play this F1 Manager game because like a lot of racing fans, we like scream at the television while watching these broadcasts, and we say like, "You're an idiot! You don't know how to drive," or like, "You don't know how to manage the pit lane," or "You're changing to the wrong tires at this temperature and weather level. You can't do that." And we talk shit, right? So I was like, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is and try to actually be a manager in F1, and I'm awful at it. It's fucking hard. Like I don't know to do with it at all. No, it's no joke. I was just like, I was like, I'm gonna walk in this thing like knowing all this information and history and experience. I know nothing about it.
You know nothing.
My team started
everything
at
you
like
knew, threw
nothing.
it out the window.
Nothing. Did nothing for me. I was at like, my team started at third and fourth place at the beginning of the race, and they dropped all the way down to 19th and 18th. So I was just like, I didn't do them.
You learned your lesson. Hey, when video games teach you a lesson, man, it's a hard lesson to learn.
It humbled me. It definitely humbled me.
Definitely humbled out here. What else is this other game you've been playing humbling you as well?
And the last one I've been playing is Wolong Fallen Destiny on Game Pass, and it's definitely a humbling game. The first boss is oh my god, that killed me. And because that boss is the hardest boss I've faced in a very long time, and I don't normally play. It is a Souls-like, and I don't normally play those games, and I'm like,
Dalan. That was my reaction too, Dalan. That's my reaction too. Sorry, Dale. Sorry, Dale. Go ahead.
Here's the thing: why I keep playing this game though, because I hate those games too. I've been playing it like Ninja Gaiden and Tenchu put together, and it feels amazing. Like the whole thing the whole combat loop is based on how good at parrying you are. And once you get past the second phase of the first boss, like it's just rewarding you for that battle mechanic the entire way. I'm probably on my 7th boss right now or something like that, and it's satisfying as hell. Like going around and stealth killing like the enemies on the playing field and sneaking around corners and doing sneak kills. It's super satisfying. And then when you get to mid bosses, upgrading your rank and your abilities to the elements that are like opposite. They have like a whole rock paper scissors kind of battle element too, on top of the leveling up system and the morale system. So it all kind of like funnels its way into this wonderful battle loop of parrying and building up your character. So I think it's
I look, it's on my list, man. I think that's definitely next. One of the games I play is and I'm always searching. The last one, did you play Sekiro? How close to Sekiro is it? And is it more accessible? Okay, because that's the closest to a thing. Elden Ring maybe after that, but the high fantasy, man, it's rough.
Yeah,
but
it is. But a lot of my Twitter people, like mutual followers or whatever, they tell me like play Sekiro after, because that's the one that's most likely or that's closest to Wolong. So I was like, okay, I can see that.
It's on Game Pass, man. That's definitely on my list. I want to try it out. I'm looking, and you said parrying, so that's what I was doing in kind of Bayonetta a little bit.
I swear to God, like play Ninja Gaiden, like just to warm up the first one, and then go play that game, and you'll be set. Okay,
you're talking about one of the best games ever made. Go play that, and hope Wolong it adds up to that. But I feel you. Look, the one that I feel though, for real, is one of the best games of all time is Metroid Prime Remastered. And like I mentioned earlier, it's one of those that I'm like, am I ever gonna get it from GameStop? I don't know if I'm gonna ever get it. I was a little scared though to go back to play Metroid Prime. I'm gonna say that. I was a little scared because I was thinking like, damn, I got rose tinted glasses. I don't know if it's gonna hold up to that. And playing it, oh, fuck yes, it holds up to that, man. This game is incredible. It is definitely the GOAT. To me, it continues to prove itself the GOAT. The sense of place, dripping with atmosphere. The fact that when you shoot, like, rockets into something or whatever, and it does a reflection of Samus's face is like, it's incredible. I am her. I am hurt, right? In a good way, in a good way, right? But you you feel like you're in a distant planet. You're definitely off by yourself. You're just kind of the mysteries of the whole world. And the first time around, I'm Critical Path Carlos. This time I'm on the visors up at all times, man. I didn't read none of that shit when it first came out. I just scanned the critical stuff, the red scanning abilities or whatever. That's all I scanned. But I'll keep it quick, man. It's definitely, to me, is one of the greatest games of all time. I'll say the greatest. For me, personally, the greatest game of all time. And the remaster, they did such a justice. It plays well. I know it has a dual stick feel to it now, which I think it's good that they did that. Because it feels natural. It feels like pretty good. The fact that you can use the R2.
Traditional first-person shooter.
Yeah, and I think it's good that they did that because I was like, it was good enough. It was good enough, and it probably was for that time. The fact that I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's a first-person shooter, but it doesn't handle that. It's like it's a first-person adventure, man. It's kind of, that was my excuse back then, but now it fully handles like with the twin-stick shooters. Everyone's gonna feel right at home. I was enjoying it, and I'm going through it, man. I'm getting like 100%. I never do that at Critical Path, but I'm definitely going to do that for this one. The one that I'm definitely probably going to send back, and it was when Dalan said, is like, why am I still playing this? Need for Speed Unbound, man. I try to like it. I really did. I was like, let me try to beat this game. I haven't played a racing game in a long time. The fact that the cops are in the races, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Can you get out of the race, please? And then after the race is like, oh, now you're in a chase. You won some money, but now your money's in at risk. And I was like, all right, cool. That's fine. But I think the thing for me, the biggest thing is like, it's kind of hard. I don't know if for Luis and Dale, is it hard or is it just me, man? And I think I even kicked it down to easy, and I was like, I'm not getting enough cash. I'm not getting enough anything.
It's meant to be like that.
Yeah.
It's meant to be like that, so it'll make you risk your cash when you play against the NPCs. Like, how you could bet before each one of the races or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like how they want you to.
And I always bet like the fourth place guy too. Like, I'm not even gonna get first. I'm not. Luis, do you feel the same way, man? That it's a pretty damn hard game.
It's hard.
High risk, high reward. But let's not risk it.
So I haven't sent it back. But based on what you guys are saying, it's like, I'm just gonna send it back. I was like, maybe they'll convince me, and they're like, no, it's hard. This is pretty much what you're thinking. The other thing, I'm gonna send that back, man. Dalan, like you said earlier, why am I still playing this? I had my fun. It looks great. It looks amazing. It looks incredible. I love the graphics on it. The other thing I played was, of course, Atomic Heart. That's on Game Pass. It's the poor man's BioShock. But I'm kind of liking it so far, but I'm just kind of critical pathing because the main character is really annoying. He's like, just get away from me. Stop annoying me. I'm like, shut up, man. Just shut up. Can we get to the next story point?
Is it better or worse than Forspoken?
That's a good question. That is a very good question.
Yeah, come back to it.
No,
we'll circle back.
Yeah, it was a good question. I was stumped. I'm having more fun with it, I think. Yeah, I think I'm having... The story's not... It wasn't great in Forspoken, but the story in Atomic Heart's a little wacky. But it's definitely like they wear their influence on their what is it called, on their sleeve, on their shoulder, whatever. Help me, Dalan, with this white person's phrase, please.
On their sleeve.
On their sleeve. They definitely wear Bioshock's. You can tell it's everything. Like you're in the clouds, you're doing all this other stuff.
Did you finish Forspoken?
Yes, I did.
You beat it? Okay.
I did finish Forspoken. It was
What would you rate it? What did you rate it?
I don't know if I rated it on the podcast. I think I would say 6.5.
Hey man, write an article. You still have the ability to do that. Write an article.
We do. I do have the ability to do that. But Atomic Heart, I heard it's not too long, so I'm gonna just make sure to play through it, and it's on Game Pass if you guys want to try it out. The gameplay mechanics okay. I still haven't gotten to any really really cool powers like you do in Bioshock, right? In Bioshock, I mean this is. Bioshock. If number one Metroid Prime is my number one game of all time, number two is Bioshock. It's close up there, man. So it's the fact that it's like you can tell what they're going for, but they're not quite there. But I'm gonna play through it. I hear it's short. You guys have Game Pass. Make sure to try it out. Dalan, what have you been playing, man?
Well, I couldn't remember because we were off last week, and I can't remember if I ever actually brought up the fact that I started playing Deathloop.
You did.
Okay. Then aside from that, I started playing Paper Mario a little bit, and I gotta clarify Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door, because apparently there was a Paper Mario before that I was.
Oh, you didn't even know the like kind of the history that there was one before that. Okay,
I did not know that. I figured this out afterwards. I was like, wait, oh, okay. I guess I need to try and get a hold of the original Paper Mario, but Paper Mario is straight up Mario RPG. It is Mario RPG, just nicer. You could do some extra stuff. I played a good amount of it, like a good hour or something like that. But then my wife Nicole, she started playing it. She got deep into Mario RPG or Mario Paper Mario. I'm watching her do it. She's over here turning sideways and sidling through buildings and freaking turning into a paper airplane and stuff like that. And the story, I gotta say, the only hook for the whole story was Princess Peach opened a mysterious box. Flash, she's gone. What happened to Peach? All you want to know is where is Peach? Where is Peach? She's not with Bowser. Where is Peach?
And Dalan, like, this is going back to like the Square. Well, actually, I think the Square Enix one kind of took themselves a little bit serious, right? But especially with like Paper Mario on N64, it's kind of like the writing is everything, man. The writing and the fact that it's very active battle in the sense that it's like, oh, if you time it correctly, you can defend. If you time it correctly, you get double points as far as damage and attacks. But there's like 15 of these games, man, because then you get into Superstar Saga on the DS, you get into all these other ones, and that the last one, Origami King, I believe it on the Switch.
Origami King, yeah.
So and they're all kind of meaty games, but the writing is kind of the beautiful thing of all these, man. And it's actually like Luis was talking about, and how we've talked about before as well, is that people only play certain games. Like he says, his brother plays 2 games. I have a friend that only plays Hitman games out of anything. Actually, you hear him as the basis to the intro of this podcast, Louis Racino's. All he plays is Hitman. My wife actually played Paper Mario, the Game Boy game. She doesn't play any games. Well, any traditional games that she plays on her phone. But it's one of those like very rare instances where she's even played it. So it's all in the writing, man. It's all in the gameplay. Dig into it, Dalan. Don't be afraid, man. Don't be scared.
Hey, man.
Dig into all of them.
Hey. Lightfall. Also,
we are trying to be raid ready. We're trying to
be raid ready. I'm trying to get something done here. Yeah. But the other thing that I had been playing and I beat was Bayonetta, the very first Bayonetta game.
Nice.
And that game was super wacky. It was
there you go.
It was Devil May Cry cranked up to 15. It's like obviously they over sexualize the women, but for guys it's not a problem specifically.
Hey,
but then the suit starts coming off and they're going really ham in the partial.
Are you sure you're playing Bayonetta? Are you sure you're playing Bayonetta?
Yes, very sure. Hey man, when you start going to I can't remember the name of the bar that you go to meet that one guy, but he is wacky all by himself. And he doesn't even do anything in the game. There's Luke, the one of 4 characters.
He's a journalist. He's a journalist, Dalan. He's a journalist.
Yeah, he's a journalist who's a ninja who grappling hooks, who survives missile strikes. I don't understand how this man is alive. All right, so
gotta get down to the truth, man.
He really does. He really does. He has to get down to dude. This man is getting down to the truth through Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3. All right, he's getting down to all these truths through all these games into the multiverse. All right, into the multiverse.
Hey, I still hate escort missions because you got to freaking drag that little girl around with you a couple of times. And outside of that, the game is nice. The game is honestly beautiful, and there's a bunch of little side things that you can do in Bayonetta. They have little achievements that you can go get. I'm like, fuck these achievements. I just want to beat this game.
So my question, Dalan,
feel very fulfilled by the time you get to the end.
So my question is, what are you gonna do about Bayonetta 2? It's either you can play it on Wii U or the Switch, but they're kind of hard to get, man. I game flighted it, but it took a while before I got it. So what do you? Or are you just gonna leave it at Bayonetta 1, or what do you think?
Nah, hell no. I got to make my way to Bayonetta 3, man.
Okay.
Bayonetta was definitely a good game, and I understand that little angel shot thing. They took that away, right?
Yeah. There's no angel shot. That was just in the first game.
Yeah. I finally figured out the angel shot thing, and you're right. Just use the points immediately. There's no point in holding on to those points.
Exactly. But
you're not taking everything in the game by the time you're done. But you get some nice moves. You get the nice dance move of spinning on the floor and shooting everything. It's really nice. And the dodging and damaging enemies right after you dodge, you got to have them in that witch time thing. If you don't have them in witch time, you're not doing damage.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, look. Well, that's been an episode of Salient Points number 103. I thought we were doing good time. We're going way over, but I will say, look, next week on Monday is my birthday, the day we record. So we might be off, I think, next week. And then 2 weeks after that, I got my anniversary too. It's also Monday. It's kind of, I was like, what did we do the last couple years? I'm like, oh, it's because it didn't fall on a Monday. I think it didn't fall on the day we record. So we'll see how that. We'll see how that works. But look, everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Carlos Macias. We got Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. We got Dale Blas, the king of Mid-Bay, and Luis Mendez on the wheels of steel. Thank you as well. Are you guys up for a little Last of Us talk real quick? We'll keep it.
I was actually gonna tap out, dude.
Okay, all right.
I'm reaching the limit on my standing capacity.
Okay, all right. So Luis Mendez on the wheels of steel. Thank you. He might tap out, but if Dalan, what do you guys think, man? We'll do a quick little.
No, I think I think we should do a separate episode for that.
Okay, all right, we'll figure it out. We'll how about this? We'll wrap it up. We'll wrap up The Last of Us in some future time when we watch the last episode.
The finale.
The finale.
Week, so.
Yeah, we'll do the finale. We kind of maybe that's what we do next week. We'll do a little finale, give you guys a kind of a special send off. We've been at it for a while, and I hope we gave you guys enough content. Go on YouTube, subscribe, likes, all that fun stuff. But we're back, I think, sort of, kind of. We'll see. Thank you for joining. I'm the master of what I did.
Man water. All
right, see you guys next time. Latest.